What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, October 21st. The No Kings protests reveal the left's true colors. Leftists have a complete meltdown over the construction going on at the White House for the new Ballroom. Trump offers another last warning for Hamas. Chris Salcedo joins me on the podcast. I'm AlecLace. This is the AlecLace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, welcome everybody to the AlecLace Show. I'm happy and honored as always to be here with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast as it streams live on Rumble, please get down there, hit the share button. Don't forget to hit like and follow as well, no matter where you are listening. A lot going on here. Obviously, over the weekend, we had the No Kings protest, and that was the main thing going viral, and it really revealed the left's true colors. What was it? You saw nothing but a bunch of crybabies making up a reason to go out there and cry over President Donald Trump. Just the title of the rally itself, No Kings, implying that Trump is somehow a king, which is a complete false narrative. So they're already building up a straw man, and they're out there to protest and knock it down. It's completely made up and fabricated. Trump was duly elected. He won the popular vote. He won by a lot. He won the Electoral College by a lot. He won every single swing state. We know, he won the House. He won the Senate. It was a complete and total annihilation of Kamala Harris and the Democrats in this past election. So Trump was not installed the way Kamala Harris was installed as the candidate for the left, which makes the whole irony of it on everybody who has been quick to point that out, that the left didn't even get a chance to vote for their candidate. They voted for Joe Biden, and then they pulled the bait and switch on them. They took Joe Biden out and put in the person that they wanted, who never could have had a chance to win in a fair primary. They gave you Kamala Harris, and the left just clapped along like seals and said, oh yeah, this is democracy. All right, so obviously the thing about Trump being a king is, for lack of a better word, it's just, ridiculous. So they're protesting against a made-up, fabricated thing, which is normal for the left. But what we did see was many, many calls for violence. We saw celebrations of violence, political violence, and we saw justification for political violence. And it was right out there for everybody to see. Taking front and center stage was this Lucy Martinez character who was seen on the rally in Chicago at the No Kings protest. There was a person in a truck that had a Charlie Kirk banner that was driving by. I mean, you had not many counter-protesters, but I mean, nowhere near what you usually see when you have some kind of MAGA rally or a Trump thing. You usually see some organized Antifa group or something out there. You had pockets full of MAGA fans that went out there, and you had one guy with a Charlie Kirk banner, and this woman sees this Charlie Kirk banner, and, she's world famous now. I mean, you guys have all seen the video. She mimics Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck. And the look on her face, the way that she does the motion, so energetic, so angry, and so happy to glorify and mock the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I mean, just vicious. And it turns out that she is a teacher at Nathan Hale Elementary School in Chicago, teaching grades K through 8. Now, this is, again, became another ad for homeschooling your children. It always seems to be a teacher or a nurse or something like this. But this is exactly, who they are. Now, the school ended up deleting their entire X account. They closed their website down because they were getting bombarded. And rightfully so. These are the people that are in the school teaching your children. If this is what she's doing in public, now remember, she doesn't have a mask on her face. She sees that there's people with cell phones pointing them at her, and she's brazen enough to just do this mocking gesture, glorifying the assassination of Charlie Kirk right out in public for everybody to see. She's not ashamed of it. She feels she's in the right by doing it. And if she's doing that out in public at a public rally, what do you think she's teaching the children in her classroom? And this is what's going on in these schools. with many of these teachers. We saw it immediately when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The number one suspect for the people glorifying it and celebrating it were teachers. It's a sad state of affairs. So she became kind of the poster child for the No Kings protest. We remember, and the left, obviously the media has not covered it at all. You did not see any of it. You saw it go viral on X and probably the other channels I don't really pay attention to, but I'm sure it went viral on Instagram and TikTok and all the rest. But it was viral on X. Now, you remember back when Nick Sandmann was just smiling, and they had that Native American guy, and they made Nick Sandmann into a complete racist. The media melted down over Nick Sandmann for weeks over this. And again, they called this guy a Vietnam veteran. He was never even in Vietnam. I mean, the whole story was blown out of proportion and totally wrong and false. And the media melted down over it. This story, the media won't even touch. This is a woman outright glorifying the murder of Charlie Kirk. Snores from the media, as expected. This other guy, Moises Bernal, some name like this. This is another guy, another educator, this time at the Wilbur Wright College in Chicago. This guy calls straight up to just kill ICE agents out in public. No mask on his face. Look at who I am, and here's what I have to say. Here was the clip.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Now, how could you do something like that? This guy is actively making a call to political violence, to assassinate and shoot ICE agents right out in broad daylight. He's doing this. Brazen. These people feel like they're on the right side of history. The same as this other girl, Lucy Martinez. They feel like they're in the right because they're obviously, again, now you see, they're learning quickly today. The two of them are learning quickly today exactly why ICE agents are wearing the masks. Because what happens when you're out in public like this, you get doxxed. And immediately they know where you live, where you work, and all this other stuff. And they're finding out now this was a bad idea. Well, ICE is on the right side of what they're doing because they are in the right. They are upholding the law. Now, you can argue against the law. You could say, well, we don't think they should be doing it. Fine. You got to go to Congress and you got to change the law to make breaking into the country legal. That's what you have to do. But that's not the law. The law is if you come into the country illegally, it's a crime and you have to leave. ICE is upholding the law. They're doing their job that they are sworn to do. And in doing so, people are video recording their faces, doxing them and going after them and their families. We see, obviously, open calls for them to get killed. This is why they're wearing masks. So hide the fact that they don't want their families to be tortured over this stuff. And there you go. Those were the two ones that really went super viral, I think, over the weekend with the No Kings protests. You had, I'll play a couple of other clips here of the justification for murdering conservatives, other people on the right, as well as justifying the Charlie Kirk. I'll give you two other examples of it. There's plenty of them that went out. You guys have probably all seen all of them, but here's a couple of other ones that I thought stood out.
Who are you going to kill?
Nazis.
Who do you define as a Nazi?
What do you mean? It's pretty.
In this context, who's a Nazi?
Stephen Miller's a Nazi.
So you're gonna kill Stephen Miller?
If I had the chance, yeah, I would.
I don't know if that's something I'd say on camera, bro.
Something that I've heard in interviewing Republicans is that they're concerned with the health care going to undocumented immigrants. What would you say about that?
I don't know that it's true. Everybody deserves health care, and we can certainly afford it in this country. So again, they're just, they're pointing to things and saying it's our fault, we're too liberal. Yeah, it's really depressing. I don't know how anybody your age even thinks of having children, okay? Okay, millions of Democrats did not vote. Whose fault is that? We need to get ourselves together, and we might even need to be a little bit meaner, because the Republicans don't mind being mean.
And by mean, what do you mean? Do you mean protesting? Do you mean...
Maybe we have to, stop being so nice.
Because you seem like a pretty nice lady.
I'm a pretty nice lady, but I can be pretty mean, too.
Okay, and I have to ask this because people on the other side are going to say that they feel like the Democrat Party has been mean. Recently, with Charlie Kirk being assassinated,
He's a piece of garbage. Of course we were mean. I am so tired of people saying, oh, but, it's a terrible thing. No, Hitler is dead. I'm glad Hitler's dead. Evil people have no place in my world. He was a hateful human being. It was disgusting, the things that he said and did. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I have to point my energy in other directions.
And you could see just in the comments there, well, Hitler's dead, right? It makes sense from their point of view because you have to remember, in their mind, Trump and us, his supporters, are Nazis, right? So you have to kill the Nazis. It's justifiable. So they have been completely indoctrinated by the media to believe that Trump is a Nazi. The guy who just freed the 20 Jewish prisoners, captives over there, right? He's the Nazi. It is dangerous what the rhetoric has done from the media and the Democrats, and you're seeing it on the streets. These people are dangerous. The guy calling for saying he would assassinate Stephen Miller if he had the chance. I mean, they're brazen. They're just saying this right out. They don't even care. He's like, I don't care. It's on tape because they feel like it's right. I mean, if you went back into 1945 and you walked around the streets of New York and asked people if they would assassinate Hitler, of course they would all say yes. And that's how these people have been suckered by the media, suckered by the Democrat Party to believe in their hatred against President Donald Trump, and they believe it is justified. Now, you saw so many of the different signs that these people were carrying around. Wanted, better snipers. You've seen this lady holding this sign. I wish he hadn't turned his head. You have this one. Charlie Kirk had it coming. Changed my mind. They had a little booth in Denver there. And then here's one here. This is a costume that this guy is wearing. It's a Charlie Kirk costume. Expect to see this on Halloween. You're going to see this from these leftists. Guy is dressed up like Charlie Kirk, wearing the Freedom shirt with blood on the shirt. He's got the hole in the neck. He's wearing a bozo medal on himself, and he's mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination. You also had several people that showed up dressed up as Tyler Robinson, the guy who assassinated Charlie Kirk, wearing that same exact T-shirt, wearing the sunglasses and the hat. So you're going to see that as well on Halloween. People glorifying the shooter, just like they glorified Luigi Maggione. They believe Luigi Maggione was justified in what he did. So there is a sickening trend that has been brewing from the left, the political violence that they justify is all coming from the left. This is not a both sides issue, right? This is a one-sided, we want Republicans, conservatives, Trump supporters, MAGA, we want them dead. That is what the rhetoric you are getting from the left. It is high octane, and it is way out of control. And it is only going to get more dangerous as the left continues to lose. And again, the whole rally in itself is a made-up situation. Trump is not the king. He is the popular president almost 80 million Americans voted for. And again, it's funny because George Washington fought against the king. He held the original No Kings protest, and they tore his statue down, right? So it's not about fighting against the king. It has nothing to do with it. It's another reason to rile up the base. And again, what do you do with the king? You overthrow the king. So if you could justify and see Trump as this enemy, this historical bad figure, a Nazi, a fascist, a king, it's all this stuff. What is that going to do? It's going to incite violence against him and his supporters. So much for turning down the rhetoric. And you see this on what else is Trump? Trump is a racist, right? This is what another point that they constantly hammer into you is Trump is a racist. You had this last night on CNN with this Keith Boykin, who you could probably argue is a racist himself. But he's on there talking to Batya Ungar-Sargon, who's talking about how it's ridiculous to call Trump racist, but they still hammer out the same old talking points, the same old nonsense. And here's this guy spilling it on CNN as if it's just a matter of fact. And I'll break down these points that he makes, the typical points that they always point to right after you see the clip.
Vociferous vigorously and immediately and without hesitation condemn this disgusting
Because Donald
writing.
Trump has a history of racism himself.
No, that's
These
not
people,
true.
Are you kidding
I'm
me?
sorry,
Donald Trump
that's not
started his
true.
career with racism. In the 1970s, he was sued for housing discrimination. In 1989, he was a part of he was led the lynch mob against the Central Park Five. In the 1990s, he was sued by casino workers for racial discrimination. He led a 5.5-year campaign against Barack Obama for allegedly not having an accurate birth certificate. Donald Trump came in office talking about he was going to ban Muslims, and he was called Mexicans were supposedly
He has
bringing
the
drugs.
most multiracial
Donald Trump has a long history. You didn't deny anything of the things I just said. Donald Trump just this year said that he's allowing white South Africans to come to the United States, but not black South Africans. What could be more racist than that?
Why did the majority of Latino men vote for him? Why did 25% of black men vote for him?
It was not 25%. And still, black people are the most loyal group against Donald Trump, in fact, because we clearly could see through the charade that he was putting up. Donald Trump has a 50-year history of racism.
Why did a majority of Hispanic men vote for him? If he's
I'm not a Hispanic person. I can tell you as a black man that Donald Trump is a racist. That's unquestionable.
I don't agree with that.
All right, let me just.
Okay, and you notice there he says, she asks about the Hispanic vote, which was historically says, oh, well, I have no idea. I'm not Hispanic. Well, we're gonna have Chris Salcedo on here right after I get done breaking this clip down to talk about the rise of the liberty-loving Latinos, a new American revolution. So we're going to talk about the Hispanic portion of this in a second. But let's break down these claims that he says, okay? Trump started his career with racism in the 70s, right? The 1973 DOJ lawsuit against Trump management for housing discrimination was settled in 1975 without any admission of guilt. The settlement required compliance with fair housing laws and did not concede any wrongdoing, okay? So there was no proof of anything that says that Trump was racially discriminating, anything. It was settled without any wrongdoing, any findings. So it's another one of these things. Again, it's back in 1973. Much different time in our country, too. Trump was sued for the housing discrimination in 1989. The allegations were part of a pattern of legal challenges faced by many real estate developers. The case did not result in finding of guilt, but a settlement. Which is a common legal strategy to avoid protected litigation. It does not indicate racism. It's the complexities of the disputes in the real estate sector. Okay, again, there was nothing to do with racism. There was nothing proved about Trump being racist in that case. Zero whatsoever. Okay, Trump was part of the lynch mob against the Central Park Five. Let's not get into breaking that entire thing down. Remember, when this happened with the Central Park Five, they admitted to raping and brutally beating the young girl, okay, who is still severely damaged today, handicapped for life, what happened to her. They admitted to it. They pled guilty to it, okay? Trump was not. They make it sound as if Trump was accusing people that were proven innocent. They were proven guilty. They went to prison for this. Trump was calling for the death penalty because of the brutalness of the crime. And again, the Central Park Five were not exonerated. Their case was vacated. Okay, let's not even get into that because that whole thing is full of BS when it comes to the Central Park Five. So that maybe we break that down on another day. But anyway, Trump saying that the kids admitted to doing it. They pled guilty. I mean, it wasn't like Trump made up some kind of circumstances with that. So that's another tired excuse to say it. It had nothing to do with race. It had to do with the brutality of that crime and wanting to see punishment for the criminals. Trump sued by the casino workers for racial discrimination in the 1990s. They brings up there. The 1992 class action lawsuit by black casino workers at Trump's Castle Hotel was settled out of court. It's not an admission of guilt. It didn't have anything to do with Trump, coming out of that case saying, oh, Trump was proven to be racist. The case's resolution doesn't prove any racism. It reflects challenges of managing large workplaces in high-stakes industry. That was another people looking for a buck. Got the buck. It had nothing to do with Trump being racist. Many of his employees always have come out to praise him, particularly in the black and brown communities. Trump led a 5.5-year campaign against Barack Obama. He's not the only one that did that. There's still many people to this day that don't believe Barack Obama was born in Hawaii, the way that they said. They came up, he supplied that not real birth certificate, but that other birth certificate, and the woman who produced the birth certificate for him happened to die in a plane crash just shortly after. The whole thing around Barack Barack Obama was a plant in there. We know that. Barack Obama was somebody that fit the suit. There's a lot into Barack Obama. With racist? No. Political aspirations? Did he not like Barack Obama? Very good reasons not to cast shadow. It's the same thing that they do with Trump, is what he was doing to Obama there with the whole birther thing. Racist? Absolutely not. 0% chance. Trump came into office talking about banning Muslims. Yes. Talking about banning people that are coming from terrorist states. We had suffered through 9/11. We've seen people that wanted calling for death to America. These are people we don't want in the country. It's not. He didn't ban them for religious purposes. He didn't ban people from practicing their religion of Islam in the country. That's not what he did. He didn't ban people because of their religion. He banned them because they're coming from terrorist networks. I mean, that's what he's doing here, trying to protect Americans. Allowing South Africans to come into the United States, but not black South Africans. The white South Africans are being murdered over there. They're being murdered. That is the reason why he is allowing them to come here. This makes no sense. So what are they saying? Oh, you should allow the people doing the murdering to come here as well? How does this argument make any sense? The ones that are being persecuted are the ones that are coming seeking asylum. Are the murderers going to come seeking asylum? I mean, how does that make any sense? He's taking the side of the people that are getting persecuted, and they call it racist. Black people are the most loyal group against Donald Trump. Black people are the most loyal group to the Democrat Party because they've been suckered by the Democrat Party, who's produced zero results for the black community in 50, 60 years. And if this is the case, why did you see the biggest shift ever in the black community towards President Donald Trump? If they're so loyal, why does Trump have more black votes than any other Republican president in history, if they're the most loyal group? And what are they loyal to? They're loyal to the Democrat machine that has kept them in poverty, in crime, behind the eight ball. The neighborhoods are destroyed. We look at it. We talk about it time and time again. All these neighborhoods that have been run by the Democrat Party for decades, they have zero results. And what do they say for it? When you ask this Keith Boykin, hey, Keith, Democrats been in control of Chicago 70 years. How come black people are suffering there? Right? You point to Memphis. You point to all of these Democrat-controlled cities. Black people are not doing any better today. They're doing worse than they were under the Democrats. Why is that if the Democrats are so good? Maybe it's racism, Keith. Maybe they really don't like the black community. But we saw all throughout. Now, here you had Trump, right, celebrated by Jesse Jackson. When was this? Back in 1999, Jesse Jackson praises Trump's commitment to minorities, underserved communities. So this was after all that happened, the casino thing and the housing thing, right? So why is Jesse Jackson and even Al Sharpton at the time praising President Donald Trump for his work with the minority community? If Trump is so racist, why were they around him? Why were they celebrating him? So the argument that Trump is racist has no water with anything. Again, back in 1999, it's a lot closer to when these things happened. And he was being celebrated by the black community. He was even celebrated by the black rappers. He was celebrated in black culture. All of a sudden now, because he ran for office, they turned everything around and say, oh, no, he's a racist guy. So right now, let's get to the point where Keith Boykin says that I'm not Latino, so I can't comment, meaning that you're not black, so you can't really comment on the Trump is a racist thing, is what he's really saying there. But let's bring on somebody who does know about this. Let's bring on Chris Salcedo. Chris Salcedo has the new book coming out in December, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. He's the host of the Chris Salcedo radio show, also the host of the Salcedo Storm podcast, and you can see the Chris Salcedo show on Newsmax. All right, so let's bring all of this and let's get into it with him right now on the AlecLace Show.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm at the White House with my dad, and you're watching the AlecLace Show.
You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, joining me now, Chris Salcedo. Welcome to the AlecLace Show.
Hey, man. Alec, how you doing? Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, it's great to see you here. You got an important book coming out, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New Revolution. I think this is important because the Latino community has been painted as have to be Democrat. Always like the way that the media portrays it as if Latinos want nothing to do with President Donald Trump. And what we see in reality is quite the opposite. So take me through this book and what we're going to learn.
Well, you're going to learn about everything that you just said backed up with a lot of stats and a lot of figures, in particular from the last election. I framed the book. It starts back when the Chris Salcedo show was born, when I started at the Blaze and talk radio over the last 15 years and on television at Newsmax, as you point out, in the Salcedo Storm podcast. All this stuff we've been formulating, trying to make that dividing line, saying, hey, guess what, folks, in the Latino community, we don't all agree with leftists and Marxists. We actually have debate in the Latino community the way the American community writ large debates. So I took my interview in October, just before the election with President Trump in Vegas, is kind of the jumping off point. And then once the election hit, then all the stats started rolling in, showing that President Trump got a record-breaking number of Latinos to vote for him, 42% total. And, well, depending on which survey you look at and which analysis you see, some say that he won Latino men against coronated Kamala. Others say he tied coronated Kamala, and others say he just came up just a little bit shy with males in the Latino community. Either way, any way you look at it, historic numbers of Latinos went over to President Trump because he, unlike Bush, unlike Cornyn, unlike McConnell, gave a contrast to the Democrat Party that Latinos said, okay, I want to be a part of that.
Chris, what's crazy is that more than the historic numbers for the Latinos, it just shoots all the holes through the narrative that Trump is a racist, because, and it's the same thing that they try to do with the black community. Trump also saw historic results in the black community as well. And that narrative that Trump is racist, it completely collapses because it makes zero sense. How could all of these Latinos, how could all of these African Americans vote for a person who is racist? And then Democrat Party liberals make it sound like the case is closed, like the verdict is out. Trump is racist. That's just a matter of fact. But even stats like this, does it deter some people to wake up and say, well, wait a second, how can I believe this guy is racist against Latinos when he got historic support for it? Does it move the needle for them at all?
Well, not for the leftists, no, because they knew it was a lie. And let's remember, who are the real racists? When the numbers came in and that showed that an overwhelming number, perhaps a majority of Latino men voted for President Trump, what did MSNBS and what did all the left-wing media start saying? They started saying we Latino men were misogynists. They started insulting us. Who are the real racists? I mean, if a conservative had done that to somebody in the Latino community, they'd have been immediately called a racist. But the left wing did it. And they are the ones who are dividing us. They're the ones who have been dividing this country based on race. And Alec, you know as well as I do, the left wing and their race card, it is long expired. And they keep on going back to that well and then back to that well and back to that well. And it's getting diminished returns for them. And they know it.
And I think the authenticity of President Donald Trump, that him being who he is, not trying to placate to the Hispanic. We saw with Jill Biden when she was like, go to the Bogotas. She didn't even know what a bodega was, but she's trying to say, go to the Bogotas. And then you had Trump with the Despacito playing on the thing. Like, I don't think the Hispanic community enjoys that kind of, being patronized, or whatever you want to call it, what they're trying to do there. Trump is just authentic. He put his taco bowl up there or whatever it was for Cinco de Mayo. Like, he's just being authentic Trump. And I think that hits more, especially with communities like the Hispanics.
Well, yeah, when you saw the sombrero campaign,
Yeah.
El Hakimo Jeffries and Chuck Toomer. I call him Chuck Toomer because he's a big fan of Obamacare, which has been a cancer to this society. Anyway, yeah, you saw that. Latinos were laughing out loud because President Trump knew the score. And, I've got to be honest with you, the greatest attribute that I can see in the Latino community, or the greatest backing of President Trump and the attributes they love about him, was his standing for the rule of law. And we detail this in the book extensively and all you need to do is look at the map in Texas along the border. In 2020, all those counties along the border were blue. By 2024, they were all red. Why? Because Latinos didn't like lawlessness. Latinos didn't like massive waves of criminal illegal aliens flowing into the United States from 168 countries, millions of them unvetted, destroying their communities. The Latino community said, we don't support that. And the only place that we can go that is standing up for the rule of law is President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, well said. In the book, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New Revolution, I got the link to this in the description down below. But what you say is true, like liberty-loving Latinos. Also, these are people, Latino community of faith, of strong faith, of family, and obviously they want freedom, but they're also a hardworking community. This isn't somebody looking to come into a country and live off of the welfare system, look for some handouts. This is a hardworking community here, and they, more than anybody else, don't want to see people freeloading off of their own hard work and doing it the wrong way, because it's an insult, just like it is to every other hardworking American, when you see people milking the system, using the system, corrupting the system, and I would imagine it pisses them off just as well as it does the rest of us.
Sure. You know what? And you know what? The Latino community shares the American work ethic that of hard work and getting able to retain and keep a fair return on your labor and not have the government confiscate it. But the other thing you touched on was the cultural stuff. What's the left wing been saying for the last 4 years? Well, the last 20 years, that little Johnny can be little Susie. Little Susie can be little Johnny. Right. That women need to share their locker rooms with men, that men belong in women's sports. And Latinos said, what is this noise? The abortion stuff was crazy enough, right? Everybody's a Democrat, everybody's a left winger, believes in slaughtering babies in the womb. No, we don't. A lot of these people said, and they left the Democrat Party and they became either Republicans or they became conservatives. But yeah, all of this cultural stuff, I think it was the cultural backlash that opened up the door, Alec, for Latinos to go, wait a minute. Okay, I don't believe little Johnny can be little Susie. I don't believe little Susie can be little Johnny. I don't think men can have babies. So I'm going to open up the possibility that maybe, the Democrats are back going crazy. So I'm going to be looking around. And thank God there was President Trump who gave those Latinos a place to land.
Yeah, to speak the truth. I mean, that's all they're looking for. All we're searching for is the truth, and we're just looking for the government to get out of our way. That's all. We're not looking for anything more than that. And that's I think what the Hispanic, the Latino community is looking for as well. And also too, I think so many of the Latinos or Spanish people who came here from communist countries, like if you came here from Cuba, you understand more than anybody that you don't want to see this country go down that socialist communist route. So I think that's another part of the reason they see that the Democrat Party has tilted heavily to the far left. When you have the gruesome crew there, whatever they're called, the squad, you see how far left it's going, and we're coming so close to what they left is saying. No, we're not voting for our own demise when we have the opportunity.
Oh no, you're so right. I mean, you got the third generation Latinos telling the first generation Latinos maybe just coming over and praise God legal, and they're saying, man, these Democrats look an awful lot like the commies I just left in my country. They just ruined my country, forcing me to leave everything I ever knew. So you've got the third generation Latinos like me and abuela and abuelo, grandma and grandpa saying, hey, you know what? These cats look exactly like, the Castros of the world, the Chavezes of the world, the Maduros of the world. And you know what? We want nothing to do with that because they ruined the countries where we came from. And once America falls, there's no other place to run.
Yeah, right. We all know that. This is the last stand. The rise of the liberty-loving Latino, a new revolution. I got the link down there in the description below. But also, we just seen the No Kings protest that we had, and you have all this. But basically, their attachment to this is against ICE. It's an anti-ICE rally. This is what this is all about. It's about stopping ICE from deporting illegals. And that the media does a wonderful job of making sure they never tell you the difference between legal and illegal immigrant. They always try to just wash that out completely as if it's all lumped into one. But what is the Latinos' response to ICE and their approach to deporting the illegals out of the country?
Well, the majority of the Latino community is law abiding. And, I make a point on my television show, and my radio show. I never say the term migrant. The Associated Press in their style guide says, oh, that's what we're going to refer to these people as, migrants. Wait a minute. You've got an immigrant. That's a person who came into the United States legally with permission. And you got an illegal alien. That's the legal term of art. Illegal alien. It's in our statutes. So that's what I use. Well, that's not politically correct. Well, I say, screw you. I don't care whether it's politically correct. It defines who we're talking about. And I, as a liberty-loving Latino, and I'm sure a lot of these legal immigrants who came here have a real tough time being lumped in with all these lawbreakers. It's an insult. It's a slap in the face, but you can always count on the leftists at the Associated Press and those in the fake news press to do that for their political gain. They don't care who they insult or whose character they try to decimate and furtherance of their left-wing power grab. Everything is on the table for them. They'll call us misogynists. They'll call us Nazis. They'll do whatever, which is what these whack jobs, these freaks, kooks, and nuts were doing in the streets with their Antifa backup. That's what they were doing, calling us names, trying to say they were going to kill President. They want to see President Trump dead. They're going to kill Stephen Miller. I mean, this is stuff the Latino community says, you guys are loud, leftist, violent freaks. We want no part of it. And when ICE comes rolling into our neighborhood to get rid of criminal illegal aliens, they're being welcomed with open arms by blacks, by Latinos, by whites, by quote unquote Americans, real Americans who treasure the rule of law.
Right. Normal people who are trying to build something. They're trying to provide for their families, grow their families, own a home, create some wealth, have some vacations with the family, just to do normal things, to enjoy the life, liberty that we've been given in this country. And these people are the destroyers. They're the spoilers. They're trying to destroy everything that is good about this country. And then just to the point of, like, I know my brother made this analogy one time. It's like, if you're on the highway and you're going to get off the exit ramp and it's a long traffic to get off the exit ramp and you've been waiting for like 20 minutes and then someone comes right up on the side of you and cuts right in front of you to get off. They didn't wait in the line, and you want to strangle that person. And I can only imagine that's what it's like for the legal Hispanic, the legal Latino that came here, went through that whole arduous process and got here legally, and then sees all these people just jumping over the boards. I mean, wait a minute, no, that's not the way you're supposed to do this. There's a process here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said it too, Alec, because that process hasn't been reformed really since the 1950s. So you got to ask yourself, what have these Republicans and Democrats been doing all these years? Yeah. Why do we send them up to Capitol Hill? I mean, if we really do need to have immigrants in this country, and I believe we really do, those who have merit, those who can contribute to our fabric, then by God, there better be a system that uses all this fantastic technology we've got now. Why don't we put some of that to work to making a legal immigration system that is lawful, that we vet these people and we make sure that they are meritorious, that they can contribute to the fabric of this country, because that's what immigration should be. It should benefit the country. I couldn't care less about benefiting some other nation, offloading their refuse. I don't want to do that. I want to have immigration stand for something, a meritocracy where it's going to benefit my country, the United States of America, America first. And a lot of Latinos are on board with President Trump on that metric.
Well said. And that's part of, like, my kids that go through school. They go to a Catholic school. They do it like fourth grade, I think it is. They do Ellis Island Day, where the kids have to dress up as an immigrant. It's usually somebody in our family who came here, and they go through the process. And us parents come in and we play the inspectors. We show them how hard the process was for immigrants to come to Ellis Island and become a part of this country. You had to speak English. You had to know the history of the United States. You had to understand certain parts about the Constitution. It was a whole process, and they realized, wow, this was a difficult thing. This wasn't just, hey, just come on in here and dump your prisoners into our country. This was come here and be a part of what we're building in this country. If not, you don't belong here. You got to come here and you got to contribute, and you got to forget about where you came from. You see people waving Mexican flags and waving all these other flags. And no. You pledge allegiance to the United States of America. And that's what this is supposed to be about.
And you've probably seen the demographic breakdown. Our replacement rate in this country, how many babies the average couple is having, is 1.7.
Yeah,
folks, we need it to be 1.9 just to maintain a level of a replacement rate, so that we can continue to breed Americans and have Americans and Americans. So we are below that threshold, and it's courtesy of the left, because they have denigrated marriage. They've denigrated, by the way, which coveted and loved by Catholics. They've denigrated parenthood by their abortion prescription. Again, something that is rejected by Latinos by and large. So the reason why we're in these dire straits, and then they say, well, man, we got a negative replacement right now. We got to open up the borders. Well, that's the stupidest thing I think I've ever heard, because you're going to welcome in all the criminals and the terrorists and all this kind of stuff while you're trying to make up for your previous mistake of abortion on demand. And this denigrating and this usurpation, or this elimination of the nuclear family, which is the foundation of Western society. So we have really got to start getting intelligent about this, about this mindset that, oh yeah, we can abort ourselves into prosperity. That's not going to happen. And then we got to get smart about who we're bringing into this country if we want to maintain the current replacement rate. They've got to be, as you say, Alec, they've got to be number one devotees to the Constitution, American history. They've got to be dedicated to preserving it. And that's how our country will flourish and go on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And also, despite we don't have the nuclear family, we don't have people having kids. We also have a breakdown of the family unit itself. We got a fatherless crisis in this country.
Yes.
In my opinion, it's the number one social issue we have in the country right now. When you have no father in the home, you have no heavenly father in your heart. That combination has crippled our society. So those two things, if we don't get those back on track, we're completely finished, no matter how many laws we try to make and redo. If we don't have the foundation of this country, every civilization at its downfall, at the onset of that downfall, has been the destruction of the nuclear family.
Well, yes, and they're turning away, as Reagan said at an ecumenical breakfast in Dallas in 1984. He said, every fall of every great civilization, the precursor to that was their abandonment of their God or their gods. The turning away from God in this country, where our morality flows from, that has been the gateway these leftists have exploited. And that's exactly what we've also got to find our faith again in this country, which, by the way, I'm gratified. The polling out there says Gen Z is looking. They're looking for God, because all of the empty promises of the left, all of Satan's lies, if you will, they've all been proven to be just that: empty, hollow, and lies.
Yeah, and we've seen it also, too, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, the rise of people at least being interested. And if you seek, you will find. So the rise of the liberty-loving Latino, a new revolution. Chris, do we have what is your read on the staying power of this? I think Trump brought a lot of Latinos into his camp that voted for him, obviously, historically, like you pointed out. What is the staying power of that beyond Trump? Because after Trump is gone out of this picture, it's going to be just very confusing to what happens next, because he's the pulverizing figure that got everybody to the polls. He's the reason why everyone goes to these CPACs and turning points. He's the draw. So does the Latino community stick here with the Republican Party long beyond Trump?
That all depends on the actions of the Republican Party. There's a battle going on now in the Republican Party. Are they going to remain America first, or are they going to go back to the Mitch McConnell, John Cornyn, Lisa Murkowski surrender caucus model, Paul Ryan surrender caucus model? If they stay true to America first and those principles, the Republican Party will continue to be a place where Latinos can go once they've figured out that the left wing is nothing but anti-American kooks, freaks, and nuts. But if the John Cornyns win, if the Mitch McConnells win, or the Lisa Murkowskis win, it's just going to be the uniparty, and they're going to be looking for something else out there. And goodness knows where they're going to land. Who knows? It may be advantageous where all of us abandon this failed two-party system and seek a different path. Who knows? But if the Republicans want to survive, they should adopt the America First coalition's mindset, because I believe that's the only way they do survive.
Well, I agree with you. And thankfully, we have another 3 years to go here with Trump in office, and a lot more has to get done. I think he's hit it out of the park for his first 10 months here. I think a lot more work needs to be done. So the rise of the liberty-loving Latino, a new revolution, link down in the description below. This is for pre-order. What do you want to tell the people here about where they can go to get it?
Alec, first off, this project was it bears my moniker, so it's very personal to me. Thank you for the invitation. It means the world. If folks want to check this out, folks, just go to Amazon, type in Rise of the Liberty Loving Latino or my name, Chris Salcedo. It'll pop up, and then you can pre-order it now. It drops on December 9th. You can save a couple of bucks when you pre-order, and it's a great gift for that liberty lover in your life, Latino or otherwise. Could be your grandma, your grandpa, white, black, brown, doesn't really matter, folks. The concepts in this book are about liberty lovers and documenting not only the greatest political revolution to hit this country since the formation of the Republican Party, but the map forward to keep it going.
Yeah, well said, Chris Salcedo. I think it's an important book, timely book, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New Revolution. Link down in the description below. I'd love to have you back on the podcast down the line. Thanks for joining me today on the AlecLace Show.
Thanks, brother.
All right, grateful to Chris Salcedo for joining me on the podcast. I got the link to his book down there in the description below. The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. Again, Trump is so racist, yet he had the biggest swing with the Hispanics in history. Historic what he did with the Hispanic community. Historic what he did with the black community. They don't realize how dumb they sound when they try to use the racist argument. People are so tired of hearing it, and it holds zero water. Because if it is true, if it's true that Trump is racist, you don't have one black person in this country that supports President Donald Trump. If it's true, you don't have one. You had millions of blacks that went to go vote for Trump. Millions. How is that possible if he's guaranteed to be a racist? How is he? If he's a guaranteed Nazi, you'd have zero Jewish people that voted for President Donald Trump. Zero. Instead, you have millions who support him. How is this possible? If he's guaranteed racist against Hispanics, why did millions of Hispanics vote for him? The left has no answers for this because the true answer is, the only answer is, Trump is not racist. You are. And you see everything in a vision of race. Oh, it's race, it's victimhood. Trump bad. It makes no sense at all. But people eat it up with a spoon. You have white, you've seen it. I mean, I'm playing all these clips. If you watched a lot of this stuff from No Kings rallies, you had black Trump supporters interviewing white No Kings rally goers, and the white people are trying to convince the black guy that Trump's racist. It's the bizarro world. And what is the left? What did the left now melt down over? Yesterday was the beginning of the construction of the White House, the new ballroom, 90,000 square foot ballroom that President Trump is building, and in addition on the White House. Now, the left is melting down. All of a sudden, the guys like this, Ron Flipowitsky, whatever his name is here, this is a desecration and an abomination. First, he posts an AI video of himself wearing a crown, dumping shit on the heads of Americans, which was hysterical. Then he starts tearing down part of the White House for his Mar-a-Lago-style ballroom. Now, when he's talking about the AI video, which I thought was hysterical, it's about when he had the plane dropping the shit on that Harry's sissy's head or something like that. I thought it was comical. But anyway, they're talking about now, all of a sudden, it's desecration and an abomination. The same party that tore down the statues of George Washington, of Abraham Lincoln, of Teddy Roosevelt, of Christopher Columbus, they tear down all of our history. They hate American history. Now, all of a sudden, because Trump is starting the construction on the White House, they're having a complete fake outrage and meltdown over, oh my God, look what he's doing to the White House. He's damaging it. Now, the White House has undergone construction and reconstruction for over the last 100 years. Teddy Roosevelt built the West Wing in 1902. In 1909, Howard Taft added the first Oval Office during West Wing expansion. 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt added a second floor to the West Wing. In 1934, he relocated the Oval Office to the current spot it's in now, completed the East Wing, and built an indoor swimming pool. In 1948, Harry Truman completely gutted the whole building. He gutted the whole White House and only left the outside frame. Back in 1948. In 1970, President Nixon turned the pool into a press briefing, which is where it is now. The pool is underneath it. And he also added a bowling alley. In 2009, President Obama upgraded the tennis court to a basketball court. Now, with the exception of Nixon, with the bowling alley, every other one of these construction projects was paid for by you, the taxpayer. But that's not the case with Trump's ballroom. Trump's ballroom is not costing the taxpayers a nickel. Just like the flagpoles that Trump put up at the White House didn't cost the taxpayers a nickel. The whole project is being paid for by Trump and patriotic donors who are supporting this. So it's not coming out of your pockets. So you had all these Democrats yesterday, all these leftists crying about all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, look what he's doing to our history. Like you care about history. You think the country is inherently racist. All you do is cry and piss and moan about the country 24 hours a day. And now, because he had to do some deconstruction or demolition on one piece to start doing the project, oh my God, he's desecrating our beautiful White House. Do they know that slaves used to work in the White House? Do they realize that? Shouldn't the Democrat model be, we have to take down the whole White House? So what is it? You want to keep the White House the way it was so we can remember it as a part of history, even though slaves used to work there, but we're going to tear down every single other element, statue and monument that has anything to do that even sniffs slavery. So how does that make any sense? It doesn't, because the left-wingers are whacked. So Trump's building a 90,000 square foot ballroom. It's going to be beautiful and magnificent, and for decades to come, people are going to love it, especially future presidents, including the Democrats. Now, hopefully, I hope it's a long time before we see another Democrat in there, but it's funny because some people were quoting these things and putting up on X saying, oh, if I was going to run for president, I would run and say, one of the first things I'll do is tear down, demolition Trump's new ballroom at the White House. And the funny thing is that if a Democrat actually did that and got into office and did a demolition on the ballroom, it would be you, the taxpayer, that would have to pay for the demolition. They wouldn't do it out of their own pocket. They'd make you pay for it. Especially somebody like Bernie Sanders, right? Fight the oligarchy. Guy with 3 mansions. Guy's got 3 homes, flies on a private jet. Oh, let's fight the oligarchy. And you got to love these people that show up at these fight the oligarchy rallies, right? With Bernie Sanders and AOC. The same mob that's like, yeah, fight the oligarchy, fight the oligarchy. We hate the billionaires. We hate the millionaires. They're all lined up to go buy a Powerball ticket at night. They're all buying Powerball tickets. They all want to be millionaires and billionaires, right? So you can't make it up. What else did we have here I wanted to hit on? Let's get into this here. So the button, put a button on that. That fake outrage over Trump's construction on the ballroom is another laughable thing. If Barack Obama was doing this, if Barack Obama was putting on a ballroom, a 90,000 square foot ballroom that's going to be beautiful, and was paying for it out of his own pocket and private funding, they'd want to put another statue of him up. They'd say, "Oh my God, look at what Barack Obama is doing to our White House. Oh my God, what an upgrade." But only because it's Trump, they're seething and foaming at the mouth. Now, the thing won't be finished, unfortunately, till 2029, so it's going to take some time, the rest of Trump's presidency, to get it done. But when it is done, it will be beautiful and magnificent, just like everything else that Trump builds. One of the things now, here is the problem we're having with this Middle East thing. The last thing I wanted to touch on was this with Hamas. They're not abiding by the ceasefire or by the peace agreement, which now you have Hamas are murdering Palestinian people, their own people, in the streets. They are unhinged and dangerous. President Donald Trump posted this this morning on his feed over on Truth. Numerous of our now great allies in the Middle East and areas surrounding the Middle East have explicitly and strongly, with great enthusiasm, informed me that they would welcome the opportunity at my request to go into Gaza with heavy force and straighten out Hamas. If Hamas continues to act badly in violation of their agreement with us, the love and spirit for the Middle East is... Okay, so he goes in there saying, if they do not listen, it will be fast, furious, and brutal. He's giving them one more chance, he says in this thing. But he does say that they would welcome the opportunity at my request to go into Gaza. So I don't know if I'm reading this right, meaning that these countries in the Middle East will go into Gaza and wipe them out, or we're going to be sending American troops into Gaza to do that. I don't know which way that is. But again, it's more of the same stuff where it's like, we did the same thing with Taliban, with Al-Qaeda. These Hamas terrorists aren't going away. Now, these people are going to always exist. You're always going to have some element of this Hamas, the Houthis. We fought 20 years to wipe out the Taliban, and the Taliban is still in charge of Afghanistan. So it just seems like this thing is always a mess and always going to be a mess. Now, they didn't get all the dead bodies, I don't believe, yet back from this peace agreement. I think that's part of the problem here. But it just seems like you're expecting savage dogs to abide by the rules, and I just think it's a mistake. So I don't know what's to happen here with this. I just don't want to see U.S. military on the ground in Israel and in Gaza. That is not what I want to see happen here. So he says here, our great allies in the Middle East and areas surrounding the Middle East have explicitly and strongly, with great enthusiasm, informed me that they would welcome the opportunity at my request to go into Gaza with a heavy force and straighten out Hamas. So we'll see what happens with that. We're going to keep an eye on that. We know that Trump is trying to get this region to acquire peace in the region. It's possible if you don't have these savage dogs that are running loose over there. And we'll see, if what is the point for them to surrender, and what is the point for them to listen? They have none. I mean, it just seems like the whole thing is ridiculous. All I want to see is let them handle it over there. I don't want to see U.S. troops on the ground going into Gaza. That is the last thing in the world I want to see. And I think all of you would agree. What else is going on? The shutdown. We're in day 20 of the shutdown. Do you care? I don't care. I don't know who cares. Again, they've been on TV again this morning. The Democrat side, the Republican side, the same 5 talking points. The thing goes round and around. The military people, Trump has promised to pay. He's getting the money and allocations to do that. Meanwhile, Congress is all getting paid. People calling you how ridiculous that is. The government is shut down, yet Congress is continuing to receive a check, even though they're not going to work. It makes no sense. The other people are working, but not getting a check. So I think, without a doubt, on a government shutdown, Congress shouldn't get a nickel on either side, and that would end the shutdown immediately. But instead, here we are, day 20. It's Groundhog Day on Capitol Hill with the shutdown. So, again, shut down, shut up. That's what I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the program. A lot more going on. We'll get into it on Thursday. I believe I have Congresswoman Nancy Mace lined up, so it should be interesting. I hope you'll come back and see me on Thursday. Grateful to Chris Salcedo for joining me on the podcast. Don't forget, he's got the new book out coming in December. I got the link down there in the description below. God bless you parents and you listeners out there. God bless our police, our first responders. God bless our military, our veterans. God bless America, and I'll catch you guys on Thursday.